In this race, you have one side that wants to not only increase the corporate tax rate, but then wants to see an increase in capital gains and even a tax on unrealized gains, which would have exceptionally detrimental effects. We want to see more invested in R&D. We want people to grow and create these jobs. Government doesn't create jobs. It's our entrepreneurs. It's our folks from Silicon Valley all the way down to, Miami Beach and everywhere in between that are creating these jobs. So we need to be facilitators rather than debilitators of this.
I'm very, very optimistic about the future of economic innovation. But the question is that economic gain going to be concentrated in places like Silicon Valley, or are ordinary Americans going to benefit? A lot of policy decisions will go into that. What we have to do is center workers in the conversation about how we use AI to enhance their jobs, as opposed to just rushing to adopt AI for excessive automation. And the tax code has implications there. We privilege capital expenditure and depreciation, and we don't have the same tax credits for investing in worker training. So to me, the biggest challenge for AI is, does it further our economic disparity in the disparity between parts of this country that have been deindustrialized and left out of modern prosperity? But I think the bigger issue is not whether we have a robot tax, but whether we have a better distribution between the taxation on capital and the taxation on labor. And right now, what you have is companies can deduct for capital expenditure, but they don't have the same ability to get tax credits for hiring people or investing in people. And what I rather see is that we level that and give companies tax credits for investment in people and hiring people.
As someone who is the flagship author and sponsor of the REINS Act, the largest regulatory reform bill in American history, what the bill would do is it would require that any rule or regulation that has $100 million or more of industry impact would come back to Congress for an up or down vote, because you can hire and fire your Congress critter, but it is very difficult to hire and fire a unelected, nameless, faceless bureaucrat. And as AI technology has become a part of so many different sectors, and continues to have a really important role, you get very nervous about the big players in the space coming in with a set of regulatory recommendations, which ultimately would hamper innovation and push out smaller players. We should focus on the foundational elements, the language models, using blockchain as a solution for credentialing and providence credentialing. I think us coming in and over-regulating in the space is really going to be to our detriment, and certainly to the detriment of industry. We need industry experts to come and really work with us as we craft this. But the key here is that it has to be industry driven. I am not someone who believes that AI is the doomsday scenario, right? I think that we're going to have tremendous benefits from AI being utilized in all sorts of industries. The EO, it had elements that were okay. The genesis really was a reactionary, oh, we have to do something so we can say we're doing something, rather than it being a thoughtful, common sense, industry driven approach.
The reality is, since the 1980s, with tax cuts and with deregulation, it led to the hollowing out of manufacturing and bad trade deals. It led to the concentration of wealth in places like New York and Silicon Valley. I'm hopeful, of course, that Kamala Harris will be president, but if Trump becomes president, he has Elon Musk on his side. I know Elon very well. Elon and I did a chat on X, and Elon proposed there and in other places having an AI regulatory commission, a federal agency on AI, to make sure that we had basic safety tests, to make sure that we had clear regulation in terms of something being AI or not, a disclosure about that, to make sure that we don't have as many bots.
I wasn't in the tech industry, but I came from a small family business, commercial sandblasting. The regulations killed us, and the uncertainty of a tax environment killed us. You can't make substantial capital investments when the tax code and the regulatory environment is shifting every 4 years from one administration to the next. We all agree, regardless if you're an R or a D, that we have to have a national data privacy standard. The piecemeal work that has been done state by state, it's just not sustainable. No company has the bandwidth to comply with 50 different states' data privacy regulations. That's something that we collectively need to get across the finish line in a way that is common sense, that puts people in charge of their privacy, that is favorable to industry, that people can say, you know what, we're gonna lock in on this. That's one thing that can be 1000% bipartisan and really an America first type policy.
We need AI for our drone technology, in our defenses, in our targeting, in our cyber defense. AI is having an impact on medicine already. And first of all, won the Nobel Prize, had AI helping discover new proteins, AI already helping in new educational platforms. Production capability of America will expand dramatically. What we need is to figure out how we make sure everyone is participating in this prosperity. Americans want to engage in prosperity, and what we have to figure out is how do they build wealth themselves in a modern economy.
I agree with Roe in that AI is here, and it's here in a very meaningful way already. The tax code is getting more hostile to our 1099 employees, our independent contractors. We need to facilitate where these people who want to do side work and create businesses and contract with companies, they should be able to do that. And we shouldn't penalize people for that. In terms of the impact, I think it's going to open up several new industries we aren't even talking about. Maybe 10 years from now, there will be an entire new workforce that we haven't thought about is going to be required.
We often blame technology for, I think, something that is much deeper. This country is deeply divided. We have lost the ability to talk to each other with respect, to listen to each other with civility. I'm not saying that social media or AI hasn't made that worse in certain ways. We need to solve that, but it's blaming something that isn't the deeper problems. We probably need more people learning kindness, respect, and from kindergarten to sixth grade and civic education, more than thinking we're going to solve this by dealing with bots.